famous ferries in the world. Please pay attention to the emergency procedure notices displayed around the vessel. In the unlikely event of an emergency, you will hear 7 short blasts followed by 1 prolonged blast on the whistle. If you hear this signal, please make your way to the life jacket assembly points following the assembly station direction signs displayed. The crew will be on hand to give instructions and advice. Please note that smoking, including the use of e-cigarettes, is not permitted on any part of the vessel. And for your own safety, we also ask you not to stand on the seats or sit on the ship's rails. We ask cyclists to alight after all foot passengers have left the vessel. Please be aware that at low tide, the link-span passenger bridges will be at a steep angle. This time of day is called low water. You may have difficulty if you have reduced mobility, so please ask for help if required, and take care. Photography and filming may take place during this cruise, and may be used for the purpose of promoting Mersey Ferries online, in print and on social media. During the cruise, you will see some of Liverpool and Wirral's most famous landmarks, including the Three Graces, Wallasey Town Hall, the Mersey Tunnel's ventilation shafts, Camel Red Shipyard, the Royal Albert Dock, and Liverpool's 2 magnificent cathedrals. We shall be stopping at Woodside on the Wirral side of the river, where you can walk to Birkenhead's Hamilton Square, one of the finest Victorian squares in Britain. At Woodside Ferry Terminal, you will find Woodside Food Village, which offers a fantastic range of national and international cuisine from award-winning food vendors.
There's been a ferry across the Mersey for more than 800 years, providing a link between Liverpool and the Wirral shorelines. Pier Head, our starting point, takes its name from the long stone pier which once jutted out into the river from the shore next to the Sailors' Church, the Church of Our Lady and St Nicholas. We can see the church at the back and to the left of the Ryder building, with a golden square rigger ship on its lantern-top tower.
The modern 350-metre terminal on your right is Liverpool's cruise liner berth. Liverpool will welcome more than 100 cruisers to its shores in 2022, as the city plans to deliver its most ambitious season yet. Cruise lines including Cunard, Norwegian Cruise Line, Costa Cruises, Celebrity, Disney, Princess and Viking Cruises sail into the city all year round. Plans are also approved to make a new, bigger facility built on a suspended deck nearby on the river, which will be able to accommodate the world's largest superliners.
In all, 7 miles of docks and 23 miles of quays stretch along the Liverpool foreshore. In 1710, the Corporation of Liverpool started work on the world's first commercial wet dock, and by the end of the century, the city boasted a full dock system. Steam had revolutionised shipping, and this, combined with the Industrial Revolution and the opening up of the Americas, secured Liverpool's future as a trading city and a major port.
Liverpool's unique character has been influenced by a diverse mix of races: Welsh, Irish, West India, slaves to the sugar plantations, and sugar, rum and tobacco home to England. Liverpool nevertheless came to dominate the slave trade until its abolition in 1807. Some slaves were sold in Liverpool, mainly for domestic service, and you can find out much more about Liverpool's role in transatlantic slavery at the International Slavery Museum at the Royal Albert Dock. The growth of the United States of America provided Liverpool with growing volumes of trade, and new docks opened on the Mersey in quick succession during the 1800s. The city was described as the gateway to the British Empire and the door to the New World. A significant Irish presence has existed in the city for several centuries. In 1841, an estimated 49,000 Irish people lived in the city, and in the following years, during the Great Famine, over 1.5 million people crossed the Irish Sea, many of whom then left for the Americas, but many stayed, and their presence changed the character of the city forever. Up until the 19th century, Liverpudlians spoke in the same way as their Lancashire neighbours, but the impact of Irish migration to the city gave the city its unique accent. Today, an estimated 75% of Liverpool's population can trace their heritage to Ireland. You can find more information on this at the Museum of Liverpool. Between 1830 and 1930, over 9 million people left Liverpool by boat in search of a better life. Before steamships were introduced, these journeys were extremely hazardous. To sail to America would take 35 days, and the trip to Australia lasted from 10 to 17 weeks, depending on wind and weather. The ships were crowded, and conditions encouraged the spread of diseases such as cholera. By the late 1800s, over 200 ships a week would leave Liverpool and travel to all corners of the world. Liverpool was the most important port outside London.
1969.
Even before the Mersey Ferry in the early 1960s, Liverpool had a reputation for a lively, popular music scene. As a thriving port, the city was a hub for entertainment and pleasure, and the Mersey Ferries played a significant role in that tradition. On its arrival in 1951, the Royal Iris was popularly known as the fish and chip boat for the food served on board during its dance cruises. In 1957, the Cabin Club began promoting its legendary riverboat shuttles. These were 4-hour dance cruises up and down the river. The people
which stands in the elegant Hamilton Square, one of the finest Victorian squares in Britain, and which, apart from Trafalgar Square, has the most Grade 1 listed buildings in one place in Britain.
You can leave the ferry here at Woodside if you'd like to walk up to Hamilton Square. Woodside Terminal is the home of Woodside Food Village, which offers a fantastic range of national and international cuisine from award-winning food vendors. Thank you for sailing with Mersey Ferries. We hope you have enjoyed your trip and look forward to welcoming you aboard again. This is Woodside Terminal. This is Woodside Terminal.
Journey across to Liverpool.
On the other side of the slipway are the dry docks and slipways of Camel Laird. Contract with Calamac, one of the UK's largest ferry operators, for the annual maintenance and dry docking of the 5 largest vessels in its fleet. Each vessel will dock at Camel Laird each year. In April 2014, the British government authorised the procurement by the British Antarctic Survey of a royal research ship at an estimated cost of £200 million. In 2015, Camel Laird won the construction contract, and it was the largest commercial shipbuilding project in the country in 30 years. Commissioned by the Natural Environment Research Council and operated by British Antarctic Survey, the new Polish ship, the RRS Sir David Attenborough, will transform UK research in the polar regions, providing scientists with state-of-the-art facilities to research the oceans, seafloor, ice and atmosphere. Its missions are critical for understanding and making sense of our changing climate.
Ships came to be broken up, including the Great Eastern, designed by Isambard King of Brunel, and one of the biggest ships ever to be built. She carried over 3,000 passengers in luxury, as well as 6,000 tons of cargo. She had an amazing history. She laid the first Atlantic telephone cable, killed her first captain, and had 4 mutinies. She had 5 funnels, and her 6 masts were named after the days of the week, Monday to Saturday. The 4th mast, Thursday, became the flagpole of Liverpool Football Club at Anfield. Even as she was being broken up, she helped found who must have been trapped in her hull when she was being built. The long piers with the big gantry cranes on the river are part of the Tranmere Oil Terminal, which can handle tankers weighing up to 300,000 tons. More than 10 million tons of oil are discharged here every year, and then pumped 10 miles upriver to the oil refinery at Stanlow. the second largest refinery in England. We are now off Rock Ferry, which from the early 1820s became a popular residential area for Liverpool businessmen who took advantage of the ferry services to move home to the Wirral. Many made their homes in the newly built prestigious houses in the privately owned Rock Park fronting the river. As the century progressed, an esplanade was built linking Rock Ferry to New Ferry, and the area developed into a day-tripper resort. The American novelist and short story writer Nathaniel Hawthorne lived at Rock Park for 4 years during the 1850s, whilst working as the American consul in Liverpool. An extract from his diary reads, "At Rock Ferry there was a great throng forming a scene not unlike the 4th of July. There were bands with music and banners, and a small procession after them, and a school of charity children enjoying the festival. And there was a club of respectable persons playing at bowls on the bowling green of the hotel, and there were children and infants riding on donkeys at a penny a ride." The hotel to which Hawthorne refers was the Royal Rock, a popular destination for ferry passengers who took a trip to Rock Ferry to enjoy a drink, a game of bowls, or a walk on the esplanade. In the late 1930s, a layer of mud began to wash over the sandy beach, and in 1939 a ferry service was discontinued. The area gradually deteriorated, and the old pier was replaced by a jetty connected with Tranmere Oil Terminal, parts of which can still be seen. Eventually, the Royal Rock Hotel was demolished.
Further ahead, the large green area is Port Sunlight River Park, opened in 2014 and built on a former landfill site. Its many footpaths meander through wildflower meadows and trees, and there are stunning views over to Liverpool. Even further upriver are the eastern locks into the Manchester Ship Canal.
Manchester, a city that was at the centre of the North's Industrial Revolution, was provided with a vital passage to the rest of the world when the canal was opened in 1894. It carried imports of raw cotton to the heart of the Lancashire cotton industry, some 35 miles away. By 1955, the canal was carrying over 18 million tonnes of goods every year.
Amongst the many ships that use the canal now are the Mersey Ferries, operating day trips from Liverpool and Wirral to the historic Latchwick Locks and back. The cruise gives passengers the opportunity to experience a round trip in the same day. Cruises operate on selected dates during the summer months. Please check the Mersey Ferry's website for details.
600-capacity arena and conference centre. It accommodates events from rock and pop concerts to ice shows and international sporting events.
To the left of the arena is the Albert Dock, the largest set of Grade 1 listed buildings in Britain. In 2018, it was granted the prestigious title Royal Albert Dock, in recognition of the pivotal role that it played in starting a resurgence of interest in Liverpool's wonderful architecture. Threatened with demolition for years, it was restored in the 1980s, and the Royal Albert Dock has been... The large white and glass construction that you can see behind and to the left of the Albert Dock is one side of Liverpool One, an innovative £950 million city centre. This development, covering 42 acres and utilising the existing Liverpool streets, is home to the... To the left are the beautiful buildings known as the Three Graces, which together form one of the most majestic and famous waterfronts in the world. On the right of these is the Port of Liverpool building, with its impressive copper dome. Opened in 1908, the design came from a rejected competition entry for the Liverpool Cathedral. In the middle stands the King building. Built in 1913, the building was designed in the style of a 16th century Italian palace, and was once the offices of the famous shipping line owned by Samuel Cunard, who operated the first regular transatlantic lines between Liverpool and New York in 1840. Other famous shipping companies followed, such as the White Star Line, owned by the Titan, and the Blue Star Line. The magnificent line is berthed along the famous Prince's Landing Stage, which was for many years the longest floating landing stage in the world. It was from here that over 9 million emigrants crossed to Liverpool between 1830 and 1890, on their way to a new life in America.
Finally, the beautiful Liver Building, erected by the Royal Liver Family Society in 1911, is perhaps Liverpool's best-known landmark. Based on a Chicago waterfront skyscraper, the building is topped by the famous liver birds, which stand nearly 6 meters high. They're said to be based on an eagle, which was the original seal of King John. However, when the seal was lost in the 18th century, the artist commissioned to design the new seal misinterpreted the eagle as a cormorant, hence their rather unusual appearance. Some say that the female liver bird faces the river waiting for the sailors to come ashore, while the male is looking inland to see if the pubs are open. They have never mated, so there are no other liver birds in the world, and tradition has it that if they ever fly away, Liverpool will cease to exist.
Nearly ahead, we are in front of Mersey Ferry's terminal.